Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Reach Out Reptiles. My name is Garrett Hartle, and here at Reach Out Reptiles we try to be the bridge between your world and the world around you. As a part of that in the reptile industry, we do these Talk 'em Up Tuesdays where I just give little shout outs to awesome people in the industry. Like little Riley over here, for example, snake trainer extraordinaire. You want to say hi?
Hi.
But this week I'm super excited. It is actually our first female guest, Amanda Sargent, a conservationist. So it's a little bit different, not really necessarily somebody that's supplying the reptile industry, although in a way she is. So check it out, guys. I know this one's going to be just over the moon, off the hook, the best episode yet. Before we jump right in with Amanda, it's time to find yourself on the file cabinet. This is just a quick shout out to some of my viewers. If you guys want to be in there, mail me out a sticker with your business and tell me a little bit about yourself, and we'll slap it on there and you can be on this segment. Today I'm actually repping with a t-shirt from Mr. Kyle Phillips of the Idaho Herpetological Society. This herp society has been around in Idaho since the 80s. The government will actually consult with them on exotic animal laws, which is huge. When animals are confiscated and things like that, members of the society will actually be allowed to home those animals for the remainder of their lives so they don't have to be put down. So thank you guys, everybody that's a part of the Idaho Herp Society, for everything that you guys do. All right, let's go talk to Amanda. All right, guys. Well, I am super excited. We finally got Amanda Sargent on here, and this is really exciting for me for several reasons. First of all, Ashley and my wife and my daughter Kira are very excited to finally have some feminine, influence on the channel here. So thank you for providing that.
Of course, yeah.
And how would you describe yourself the most?
Right. No, great question. I would definitely consider myself a hobbyist. That's an important part of who I am, but more than anything else, I'm a conservationist and an educator. So I work really, really primarily with endangered species and educating the public about what we can do to keep animals on the planet.
This is something that I'm super passionate about as well. And so I think, we have a ton to learn from Amanda, probably a lot more than we can even do in the scope of something like this. But I appreciate you coming on anyway.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I think it's going to be really interesting.
We'll see how it goes. All right. So first question for Talk 'em Up Tuesday. How do we know each other?
Yeah, besides from being in the same hobby, I love Kira. I love seeing her pictures. I love seeing her, passion that you share with everybody. And you contacted me a little while ago just about, at some point, and hopefully this can still happen, just reaching out to Kira and being a part of her life as somebody that is kind of hopefully what she can grow up to become like, where she's a woman in a kind of male-dominated world, especially with reptiles and everything. And so actually what happened, she's talking about Kira, is my now 7-year-old daughter. I think she reached out to you when she was actually 5. Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, so Kira went to kindergarten, and for her it was always normal growing up with a dad who has like reptiles and stuff. And some people were making fun of her and stuff for being a girl. They called her a tomboy. She came home one day asking what that meant, and people were teasing her and stuff. And she's like, even the boys are afraid of the things that I do, and I don't fit in, Dad. So, that was breaking my heart as a father. So what I did was I went to social media, and I found 3 women that I really respected. One was Kimberly Elizabeth, who runs an animal rescue, which is, Kira's totally into it. One of them was Haley Picard, who's like more of zookeeper, and then, which is something she's always kind of said she wants to be. And then the other one was you, which is from the conservation standpoint, Kira is like a little mini wildlife warrior to the umpteenth degree, but somebody that she can actually like aspire to, like if you study hard and apply yourself,
Right.
you can take it this way. So
I mean, so much to me. Yeah, she's awesome. And that was like such a good move on your part to just show her like, hey, I know that at school you feel like you're the only one who's like this, because I went through that and I didn't have a dad who was like, you're not weird. Like my parents were like, you are really weird.
Mine too, but I think we turned out okay, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, same. And now my parents are like, okay, so you're serious about this, and it's kind of 25 years later and you're still the way that you are, and we accept it. But, you know, for Kira to have you just be right in her corner and be like, hey, look, there are girls just like you, you know, that's awesome.
From the youngest age possible, I really want to strengthen her position, because it can't be easy. You'll know more about this than me, but being a girl in that kind of male-dominated segment of society, you know, like, I'm sure, well, what kind of stuff do you have to deal with? Share with us, if you would.
Yeah, this is a great topic that I don't even think I get to talk about enough, but all of my very few and far between female kind of, you know, herpers and people who are in this industry all go through very similar things. One of the main ones just being that it's really hard for us to be taken seriously. It's more, you know, indirect a lot of the time. I've had, you know, mentors when I first started out. They were, you know, older men, and they were like, yeah, come to my house. I'll teach you how to breed snakes. I'll teach you, you know, how to do all of this really cool stuff that I didn't know how to do. I'd never had parents to teach me that. And, you know, spending more time with them starts to become more obvious why they took me on as a, you know, mentoree. And it wasn't because they thought they saw potential in me. It was because they, you know, had ulterior motives. And, you know, I've had them say things like, oh, you know, you wouldn't be here if you weren't so pretty, or, you know,
oh, geez,
stuff like that. And like, then they, you know, try to, you know, make a relationship out of it and stuff. And I'm, you know, I don't feel like that happens to guys as much as it does to women, where, you know, there was always this different motive, and it makes me question everything about myself. Like, am I really, do I have potential, or is it all just, you know, for a different reason? And then I've had a lot of people say things like, oh, the only reason that you're well known in the community and you're successful is because you're a woman and because you're pretty, or, you know, just things like that. And it discounts everything that I've worked really, really hard for. And so, you know, things like, you know, people always just see me and they're like, oh, where's your boyfriend? You know, is this what your boyfriend does? Is that your boyfriend's snake?
Jeez.
I'm like, my boyfriend doesn't even like snakes. I mean, he does now, but
you've converted him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's hard. And then, you know, there's kind of this whole secret world that isn't so secret, of like sexual harassment for women and things. I don't think I've ever met a woman in the industry who hasn't received really yucky messages and pictures from reptile guys. And it's kind of just this thing that we've all realized is just a normal part of it, but it shouldn't, you know, it shouldn't have to deal with that. And I don't think men have to deal with that in the industry. So it's still really kind of a weird thing. It's almost like we're like a spectacle or something. And you know, some people will say, oh, well, you get a lot of attention. That's good. But it's not the right kind of attention. And it's definitely something that's just annoying. So, yeah.
Geez, so as a father, I'm going to either have to, what you're telling me is try to change the industry or change my daughter and tell her to like something girls like, huh?
Right. I know. But it seems to be like the only option.
That's insane. Well, right. You know what, though? I mean, it really should not. I don't know. I'm a dad, so I'm getting fired up here a little bit because this is disturbing, and thank you for talking about it. But, you know, the industry has grown up a lot. This is not an industry for, you know, sideshows anymore, or, you know what I mean? Like, all the kind of, I don't know, over the top and exaggerated stuff, or people that are freaks for liking reptiles or any of that. And maybe that's how I got my start. But, you know, because I definitely consider myself a reptile freak. But it's grown up a lot. I mean, reptiles are for everybody now. And so, you know, guys, I mean, if you're watching and any of you guys are thinking of girls in the industry as anything else, like, you know, I guess it's cliche to say, but objectifying them or whatever, it's probably time for you to grow up too.
So just talking about it is the first step. I think a lot of people are afraid to talk about it. They kind of sweep it under the rug. They don't want to, you know, ruffling feathers or anything. But I'm really, really dead set on making this industry better for Kira's and all over the place. And
absolutely.
You know, just I don't want any woman to have to go through that self-doubt that I've had to go through, thinking like, you know, is anybody ever going to take me seriously? Does everybody think I'm doing this for attention? Like, why, you know, when I post a picture with a snake, why do people say, hey, you're just looking for attention? But then a guy posts a picture with a snake and they're like, hey, cool snake, man. You know, what are the genetics? And it's a big issue for sure.
This is I don't know. Let's grow up, guys. Or Papa Hartle's gonna have to come pound you. So watch out. But yeah, seriously. But I just wanted to drive that home to her because that she's already forming these kinds of opinions of herself based on. I mean, she's in kindergarten and people are trying to tell her who she needs to be. That's outrageous, Yeah. So. Anyway, she's got a long road of self-discovery ahead of her. She can be whoever the heck she wants, and that's the point.
That's awesome.
Well, man, I feel like that's enough of an interview right there. But yeah. But let me ask you this. Second question we do on these Talk 'em Up Tuesdays is, what is your reptile specialty from your perspective?
It's a good question. It's been I've tried to learn, like, what do I want to breed? What do I want to focus on? And I love everything. I work, for nerds, so I really love retics. I love working with ball pythons. I love working with, all types of snakes. I love green tree pythons. I think that if I were to specialize, I probably would specialize with those. But at the same time, I realized that my passion wasn't necessarily in breeding and producing animals as much as I, admire and love that. It's more about education for me, and I became a conservationist. I went to school, I studied, I've done a lot of internships, and then I realized that there's nothing in the world that makes me feel more fulfilled than breeding an endangered species. Whether it's just the other day I was separating out teeny tiny little striped newts, which are an endangered species here in Georgia, and they're just these little tiny larval newts. And then, so it's like nobody's going to buy them, but they're going to go back into the wild, and they're going to hopefully save a population. So that's what I love to do. And I've done that with, not necessarily breeding myself, but just helping with big breeding projects. Right now I'm working at the Amphibian Foundation, which is a nonprofit conservation organization in Atlanta. And so I'm getting to help breed some really, really endangered animals, and just that feeling that comes along with it, even though I'm not selling them to anybody, and all that is what I live for. So yeah, it's just kind of at this point, anything that needs my help is my specialty. And yeah, I can talk about it all day. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just kind of reminding people, like, are you really an animal lover, or are you a retic lover? Are you are you just the hobby side of things? Like, if you really love animals, there are so many that just need our help. And I'm not asking everybody to come out into the swamps with me and try to look for flatwood salamanders in Georgia, where there's only like 2 that we've found, and like in one puddle, and it's just this treacherous, field work. But just pay attention and educate people, and go that extra mile to just kind of be aware that it's going on, and that's kind of, where my role really morphs itself, because I think a lot of hobbyists know that the hobby of keeping pets and conservation and scientists are not the same thing. And in fact, It's kind of like oil and vinegar. I've had a lot of my fellow scientists and conservationists be like, oh, you keep snakes at home too?
In cages? How could you?
Right. And I'm like, yeah. And I've had to teach and educate them about, that the pet trade is not what they think it is. Because I think in school you learn that the pet trade is decimating wild populations, whereas, I know that the majority of the animals in the reptile industry are captive bred. And going further than that, we know, the crested gecko, for just example, we used to be considered extinct, and then hobbyists were the ones that brought that animal back from the brink.
The other thing I love about your message is just what you said. Like, what I'm hearing is people need to understand the definition of love, because you're saying, I love animals, but then, not even thinking about what goes on outside of their 4 walls.
Right.
I remember somebody telling me one time, they said, you say you love the beach, and what do you love about it? And you're like, well, I love to go lay on the sand and bask in the sun and the salty air. And they said, no, that's not loving the beach, that's using the beach. If you loved the beach, you would be picking up trash. You know what I mean? You would be, be helping all the animals. You would be, that's loving the beach.
Right.
Go take care of it. Yeah, and it's a very different, I think the English language is just limited in its vocabulary there, so I think we need to kind of re-educate people what love actually means. Because
Yeah.
there are a lot of animal lovers. And those of us that keep reptiles, like snakes, like I see this all the time. Someone says they're an animal lover, and I said, cool, I breed snakes. And like, oh, the only good snake's a dead snake. And I'm like, what kind of animal lover are you?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I'm going to bring up a big name in the reptile industry, whether you love him or hate him. This is a good story, because I used to work at Nerd with Kevin McCurley, and he is an animal lover. He breeds a lot of snakes. But one of the cool things that I learned about him is that he also is heavily, heavily involved in the conservation of
Rattlesnakes.
Rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
And it was so inspiring for me to see this guy who, you know, at one point is this huge breeder. He knows everything about genetics. He makes money with animals, but then he has this room full of rattlesnakes, and he's in there until 12 o'clock at night just trying to get them to eat and learning everything
Good job,
about
Kevin.
them. So yeah, that was, I'm glad that I got to work there, because it did actually help me to say, or to see that these two industries, you know, the conservation side of it and the hobby side of it, can coexist. And when they do, I think that's when we get the most done. I hope to kind of be somebody who is like, you know, right in there with both of them, and it's kind of meshing the two worlds, because hopefully that will help, you know.
Well, I think so far you've done a great job. I mean, like we said, I reached out to you because of that, and this kind of goes into our next question, guys, but normally I would ask, like, who should you buy from, or who should buy from you as a customer, but you don't even really have customers in the industry per se, but I mean, obviously, if you guys have missed Amanda's message somehow on social media, I don't know, you must be living under a rock or something, but I would say, like, so with this message that you have that you're trying to bring to the, at least in this way, you know, towards the animal industry side, what are your favorite kind of people to sort of like work with and reach out to and connect with, like on social media and stuff like that? Right.
I mean, we talked about this a little earlier before this started, like everybody is the ideal answer, but more than that, you know, I don't get too upset when there's an older, like, crotchety hobbyist that does things his way and is like, oh, you know, I don't really care about saving the pandas or anything, whatever. I care about when a kid, like a 12-year-old, 13-year-old is like, oh my gosh, I want to do that when I grow up, because that's the future of everything, you know. So for me to just be able to have a hand in creating future stewards of the planet and of animals, future hobbyists that are going to keep animals the right way, it's like a slow kind of investment where we don't see it really right now, but when these kids grow up, they're going to be awesome. They're going to know how to take care of animals, they're going to care about conservation, and they're going to base their decisions around what we give them right now. So that's definitely, you know, whether it's online through my Instagram or in, you know, the public, with my snakes, I help out with like a little kid summer camp. It's called Critter Camp at the Amphibian Foundation.
Nice.
And it's just like teaching kids about reptiles and amphibians specifically for a week, which is really awesome. And then, you know, I go out to schools and all that stuff. So that is what I live for, is just investing in the future.
I wish I had a program like that. Reptiles and amphibians only for a whole week? That's nuts.
I know. I'm so jealous.
Very cool. Okay, so I have this is the crazy icebreaker question, so we can get to know you a little bit more personally. You ready?
You're ready.
Okay. So if you could have one, and only one, do-over in life, what would you do differently?
Wow. Yeah, that's...
Sorry, I gotta hit you with it. We want to know. We want to know, guys, right?
That's awesome. No, I think a lot of people who are into the conservation, like, I want this to be my career. I want this to be my life. And if I could go back, I would just have made that decision sooner, even though I always knew this is what I always loved my whole life. When I first graduated high school, I was like, I should probably do something that's like guaranteed that, you know, I'll make money doing. And I thought about going, you know, into the veterinary field. I'm actually a veterinary technician right now, kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Transitioning into being a full-time conservationist. I have like a part-time gig right now doing that, and then I work as a vet tech. So I have a veterinary background because I thought, you know, it's with animals, and it'll make more money, I think. And
Still
so
be a good background to have too if you pick up that conservation job you want.
Absolutely, and it ended up being a really good thing. But it took me a while to make that decision too. I worked in retail for a while, just kind of floating around, unsure of what to do. And then when it hit me, but it didn't hit me until I was like 21. And I know that's still young, but if I could have just got right out of high school and got right into it, instead of hesitating because people around me told me, oh, you're not going to make any money doing that, I've since learned that I'm not really about the money. I'm all about just living a fulfilled life, the one that I want. If I don't make as much money as I could be, that's fine. But if I do something good with my life, if I live a fulfilled life, that's all I care about now. But I wish it hadn't taken me that quite as long to reach that ultimate decision.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I bet if you ask somebody like Kevin McCurley, like, hey, right now, would you rather me hand you a new ball python morph to go play with, like he does so well, or hand you the survival of the timber rattlesnake in your state? Which one would he pick?
100%, yeah, the rattlesnake.
Yeah, obvious answer.
Right.
Well, do me this favor. How can, if somebody wants to come watch you more, learn more about you, and just kind of participate in your message and figure out how to get involved, how can they reach out to you?
Right. Well, I'm at the Amanda Files on Instagram. That's probably like my most active kind of community. I'm kind of looking into YouTube, and I'm on Facebook, just Amanda Sargent. But yeah, I'm really active on social media. I think it's a great medium to educate because everybody's on it. So I'm constantly doing that. And then I'm here in Atlanta, so anytime anybody's around that's in the industry that wants to, come out maybe to the Amphibian Foundation or,
nice.
Come out burping. I love, just connecting with people that are into that stuff. And yeah, I think that's the most important thing. So I'm definitely, don't be a stranger, I guess.
Okay, cool. Instagram is the best place, and it's the Amanda Files?
Yeah.
Okay, the Amanda Files on Instagram. Awesome. Best place. Right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on. I think that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for having me and for switching things up. I know it's not your typical show, but I hope that, it's still...
it's above and beyond. It's above and beyond. So, yeah, you provide perspective and some depth to what I'm doing over here in my basement. You know what I mean? So thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So, anytime.
Cool. All right. I told you guys that was going to be a good one. So, I really encourage you as you go through the rest of this week just to, shout out to Amanda. Tell her she's doing a great job with that conservation and stuff. And maybe think about a couple of these things, how we're treating each other, how we're treating the planet, how we actually treat animals. Are we truly animal lovers, or do we just use animals? Kind of the thought for the week, guys. And what can we do to be better as a community as a whole? I hope you guys really enjoyed that. We will see you back here Friday for a Free Tip Friday. Take care.